everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Professional. My name is Ryan Abramski, and I'm with EasyLiving. We're a home care and care management agency serving the Tampa Bay area for over 20 years. This week, my guest is Mary Ellen Gilbert from CarePatrol. Mary Ellen, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, to get started, tell us a little about you and what CarePatrol does and what you guys do.
Okay, perfect. So I've been in the industry for a little over 7 years, and I have a heart for seniors and working with veterans as well. And what we do is help them navigate this entire process for next transitions in their lives. CarePatrol has been in business for over 25 years, and we have about 150 offices nationwide. So, for example, if somebody were living in St. Petersburg area and wanted to move up north to Ohio, we can help with that transition on both ends.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't realize that. That's really cool that you guys have those connections spread across the country like that.
That makes their lives so much easier. So I can do like the assessment on this end and then work with my colleague in the north to do their piece for placement on the other end.
Okay, perfect. So when you say placement, what are some of the things that you would do with one of your clients?
So basically, our primary goal is to work with families to help them with the process for assisted living, independent living, memory care, adult daycare, or in-home care options. We help them with that whole process. Normally, people recognize when there's a need that mom's no longer safe at home or a loved one is just not doing what they should be doing. Perhaps they're having some falls or frequent trips to the hospital, or their hygiene isn't what it used to be, or they're not paying bills, or things like that are typically some of the red flags that the families identify, and then they reach out to us. And our process is we do a care discovery. So basically, we want to get to know the client, what's going on. We do an assessment so we can get a good feel for what their care needs would be. We want to know their personality as well. Like, are they introvert, extrovert? That helps us determine the communities that we would recommend, whether it be a larger community or a smaller community. And we also like to know what they did for a living, because oftentimes we can connect people in other communities. And of course, the budget. We find out what their budget is, and we work with them on all of those elements and then pull together the communities that would meet their needs.
Great, that's awesome. Yeah, I know even from our end, when people start looking for, moving on to assisted livings or independent livings or whatnot too, you're obviously a great resource because you know all the different places and the ins and outs and what's going to be perfect for someone. So yeah, that's excellent to hear. So in a normal world, I mean, non-pandemic COVID-19 type of world, explain to us like kind of how, prior to the pandemic, how you guys used to do things with the clients and tours and stuff like that. And how have you guys kind of adapted since then with the COVID-19 world?
Great question. Yeah, we've had to make a lot of adjustments because typically we meet with the family, whether they're in a hospital or a rehab or in their own home, we meet with them face to face because it's really good to get to know them and can see their capabilities, what they're able to do and not able to do, so then we can help with recommendations. So that was before COVID. We would spend time with the family on that end. Now, pretty much what we're doing is virtual. So we're getting to know them as best we can. If they are in a hospital or a rehab, we're getting the information from the hospital as best we can in terms of what their physical therapy looks like, what they're able to accomplish in terms of ambulation or transfers, just to get the best clinical feel that we can, and then trying to utilize family as well as the client themselves on preferences or hobbies and interests, or really just kind of getting to know them. So we went from so much hands-on to everything is virtual. And then that also extended to, we used to literally drive them to the communities. We would take family and the client to these different communities so that they could tour them themselves, and we would schedule all of that for them. Well, now it's more of, it's done virtually. So because we cannot actually tour any of the buildings at this time, We schedule the virtual tours, and they do a virtual tour of every community. So the communities have done a great job in being able to capture in a video and or pictures to help somebody really make a decision, because it's really difficult to make a decision that you haven't actually walked into the building to experience. And then based off of our knowledge of knowing the buildings and the interactions and the size and the type of residents that are typically in the buildings, we can help them by giving them some of that information so that they can make the most informed decision.
Absolutely. Great. That's awesome information. Yeah, for sure. And then, who or when should families, or who should be contacting you? Who are you guys looking to work with the most, and at what point should someone make a decision to reach out to someone like you?
Normally, those red flags that we discussed, if there's any inclination that their loved one isn't thriving in the home, there normally is, because oftentimes by the time we get the call, they're probably about 6 months behind when they should have been seeking this. So if you sense that there is a need, that there are some concerns, more than likely there is, and people do a good job. My family does the same thing. They do a good job of making it sound so good on the phone, but then when you go see them in person, you recognize it's a little bit different story. So
Absolutely.
if any of those red flags occur, that's a great time to reach out to us. One thing is, we're not pushy, we're not salesy. We want to educate them to make the decision. And in many cases, they don't make a transitional move. A lot of times they just need some support services in the home, and we help to connect them with those appropriate resources.
Absolutely. So, biggest question always that everyone wants to know, what does it cost?
Yes. And I like having this out there on the front end too. So thanks for adding that question. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So we are a free service to the family, and how we get paid, we're much like a realtor. So basically, if and when somebody chooses a community to move into, we get a percentage of the first month's rent. So I like that to be out on the front, because I don't want any awkward situation or somebody thinking that they have to pay us out of pocket. That's not how it works. And I love that we're able to represent the client, not one particular building or community. We represent the client and what is in their best interest, and that can be referred out to a number of resources. It's not just for those assisted living or independent living or memory care communities. It's also in-home care services or whatever services they need to support the situation that they're in and help them be safe.
Absolutely. And what a great resource you guys are, especially ensuring that you're advocating for that family and for that client too, with no cost to them at all, and making sure they get the best possible services no matter where they're going to land.
Right. Which is very important.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people just call to get information, and we're happy to be that resource. We didn't set out to be a resource for many things, but we really are. So oftentimes in talking with families or working with them, we recognize they need some things set up. Maybe it's a power of attorney or advanced directives, or they need a trust set up. We can make those recommendations. If they need physical therapy or a financial advisor, who knows? Yeah. But as we work with them, pretty much anything that's related to a senior, we can connect them with the appropriate resources.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mary Ellen, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time and explaining that type of service is available out there to the community and to the families out there in need. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, and we'll make sure that we reach out to Mary Ellen to have her help answer those questions if you do have anything. We'll also put her contact information and CarePatrol's contact information. So if anyone's interested in their services, we'll be happy to connect you, and you can always reach out to us at EasyLiving to make that connection too. So Mary Ellen, thank you so much again for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Everyone else, have a great day. Thank you so much for joining again. We'll see everyone next time. Have a good day.